In this video, we're going to look at how Bitcoin has historically moved. First, the big cycles, and then how those bull markets have unfolded, because we are in a bull market currently. So this shows the last little while. I ran statistics going back to 2013, so over a decade, and found some things. This just shows the major cycles. We're only going back to about 2016 here. Really huge run up into the 24,000 area. Then a 70% decline, a brief rally. This is what I call the false start rally. Didn't really get much traction. Then another big 70% decline. But we can see that following these 70% declines, other than this one, and if we went back further, we'd see the same thing. Other than this false start in 2018, we've had pretty big triple-digit rallies, or quadruple, or even more than that, 18,000% on this one, 1,600% in 2020, 2021. So big rallies following these 70% declines. So this just kind of shows the big cycles, and that gives us a starting point so that we can then analyze what went on during these big bull markets. We are in one now. We're currently in a 19% pullback, almost 20%. That is extremely minor. Pullbacks of 20% in Bitcoin are numerous and almost too many to even bother counting. They're just a very normal part of bull markets. I didn't even look at pullbacks of 20% or less because they are so frequent. I only looked at ones that are 20% or more. And if we zigzag is a good way to break down price moves, and it just shows us how price moves have unfolded. So even so far in this rally in 2023, you can see we had a 23% pullback, a 20% pullback, a 21% pullback, and basically these are marked that the pullback ends when we have a 20% rally in the opposite direction. So we pulled back 22%, and then that is considered over once we rally 20% or more. And this just provides, again, a framework for looking at how these bull markets unfold. So we're almost at the 20% level on this pullback. You can see even in 2023, 2024 bull market, that 20% pullback has been very common. So average this year was a 22% pullback so far, or in this rally. The average overall over the last 11 years, if we look at all the bull markets, so we can go back to this one as well, the 2020 rally, and you can see you have a 21% pullback there. You have a bunch clustered up in here, but with 20, 50% rallies in between, 28%, 28%, 20%, 26%. So the average, when we just keep looking at these bull markets over the last 10 years, 27% is the average pullback in a bull market. That is eliminating the small ones that are less than 20%, because as I said, those are going to be, you can just see them everywhere in here, just tiny little pullbacks, but they're pretty much inconsequential. That's just normal movement. Anything over 20% definitely becomes more something we want to look at. So average pullback, 27%. How does that help us? Well, it gives us an idea of where we might want to start looking at some entry points. When you are in a bull market and you start pulling back 20, 25%, that is a very common type pullback level. Again, this one deeper because the bull market was ending, but during the bull phase, 25 to 30%, very common. We do have some that get up into the 49%, but it's very common, and once you get up over 50%, that usually means the bull market is over. There's a couple cases where we got a very deep pullback of about 49%. Can't remember exactly what year it was, but you can see some a little bit deeper. But this just gives you an overall sense of how these big moves unfold, these several 100% to several 1,000% rallies often have these 25, 35% pullbacks, followed by the average rally. We have the stats over here. 91% is the average rally following a pullback. So this again provides some context on potentially where to put profit targets. Not that, you know, the next rally is going to be exactly 75%. 75% is the median, 91% is the average. I put both because that's quite a difference. Average just adds up all the rallies and then divides by how many there are. Median is the middle number. When I looked at all the rallies and you write down all the percentages, 75% is right in the middle. So a little bit of a discrepancy between those two, but gives you a good idea that typically you're looking at about rallies are about 3 times as much as the pullback. So you can see here 28%, and then we rallied 100% after that. This one started to top out a little bit, 26%, rallied 50%. Some big ones fell 20%, rallied 250%, fell 20%, rallied 50%. So just overall, we can see that the rallies that follow typically bigger than the declines, and can also then look at these big cycles as well to help kind of fine tune. Are we still in a bull market? Are we pulling back? So this also provides a little bit of risk reward information when we start looking at buying on these pullbacks. What can we expect on average going forward? So history doesn't tell us exactly what is going to happen on this pullback, for example, or on any pullback. So right now we're in a pullback. We know that on average these pullbacks have gone to about 27%. This year they've been about 22%. This one could stall at 20%. It could go to 30%. We don't know what it's going to be in advance, but based on history we can decide once we start dropping 20-25%, that gives us a clue that, hey, maybe we can watch for a bottoming pattern or something like that to start looking for some potential trades. And then we can also look to history to help us assess the reward to risk on that trade. If we're being really conservative, let's say we get a bottoming pattern in this area down here, maybe at 36 or 38,000, we don't know exactly what it's going to be, but if we start getting a nice bottoming pattern in this area, then we can potentially look at that trade and say, okay, I'm going to go long. We put our stop loss below that bottoming pattern, and then we can say maybe conservatively the price will rally 50%. More aggressively, maybe it moves 75 to 100%, and then you could take that bottoming point and add the 50%, the 75%, the 90% to get a potential profit target, and you can decide how aggressive you want to be with that. So again, it's not a crystal ball. It doesn't tell us exactly what's going to happen, but it does provide a roadmap of what may be forthcoming and may provide some additional analysis and trading insights that you can use. So those statistics, interesting, just passing them along to you so that you can do with them what you please while trading Bitcoin.